everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how to make these earrings, and they're really fairly simple to do if you're fairly good at crocheting, because the idea is just literally just working on some wire and then decreasing and adding some beads. The idea behind these earrings is to create some really simple earrings that don't require having loads of jewellery making equipment, which can, you know, cost. So we want to do things on the cheap a little bit, but with very fancy effects. So all these items to make this I got off eBay, except the yarn and the hook. And the actual metal circle is made from this. Now this isn't a slinky, this is actually called memory wire. And the reason for that is because it keeps its shape. And this is silver plated memory wire. And like I said, you can get this off eBay. I actually bought it from a guy called Jupiter Crafts. And this is 50mm memory wire. And it makes about, I suppose, 30 pairs of earrings. So 60 coils. So 50mm memory wire, and it's silver plated. So we need some of that. Then I got some yarn. This is cotton yarn. This is actually lace yarn. So it's very thin yarn. I can't actually work out the actual size of this yarn. I mean, it's about a millimetre thick, and it's called lace yarn, and it's 100% cotton. So we're going to be using some of that. I'm also going to be using some beads. Now, from the same person I bought the memory wire from, I also bought some of these glass crackle beads. And these are absolutely gorgeous. These are 4mm beads, and I got some in aqua clear blue, and I got some in yellow green. The reason I got green is because I'm hoping to make some of these earrings for my sister, because she loves green. So if you're watching this, my lovely sister, then let me know if you would like a pair of these in green. We're going to be using blue because I'm going to make the other one to this one. So these are 4mm glass crackle beads, and the hole is about 2mm, but they're fairly easy to get onto a sewing needle. So here's my next material required. It's going to be a sewing needle, or a needle that basically fits through the centre of the beads. However, I did actually manage to thread on some beads just by putting the cotton yarn through the bead, because cotton, it's not like wool, it's not as fray. I'm also going to be needing some scissors. We're going to be using a very thin hook. So this is a 1.5mm crochet hook. This is a 1.5mm crochet hook. And I don't like using these ones as much because they're very slippy to use, but we do need a really thin, small little hook. We're also going to be needing a file, and the reason for that is when we cut, it's okay on the loop bit, but when we cut this bit, it can be a little bit sharp at the end. And if you want to, you can just get a metal file, and you might have the right tools available for jewellery making. Just a metal file just to take off the edge. And I actually used, I didn't have a proper metal file, so I just got some nail clippers with a file on there, and that worked really well. I'm also going to need some pliers, and I'm not using jewellery making pliers. I'm just using normal DIY pliers just for cutting the metal. But like I said, if you've got all the jewellery making equipment, then fantastic. But the idea of this video is as if we didn't have those. And I think that is it. So let's begin. Okay, so the first thing to do, the very first thing to do, is to thread 10 of our little 4mm glass beads onto our cotton yarn. So just 10, and I've got 9 here I've done already. And like I said, you can use a sewing needle if it fits through a little bead, but because we're using cotton, which is not so frayy as wool or acrylic or something, I can just thread it through straight away. So we just thread 10 of our little 4mm beads onto the yarn we're going to be using. That's the first thing to do. And then we're going to cut our memory wire, and what we need to do is find the end of our slinky memory wire, and there's the end, and you should see where it naturally finishes. So it naturally finishes there. Can you see that? There we go. So it naturally falls into position there, but we need to cut about an inch after that, because we need to allow for bending and these bits here. So if you find where it naturally falls to an end, and then go in by about an inch, so about there, then get our pliers, and which I've got this cutting bit on, so very carefully we're going to cut our wire like so. So we'll put that to the side, and there we go. You can see that it ends about there. We've left an inch for bending. So the next thing to do is we're going to bend one end of our wire. So I don't have any of the jewelry making tools required, but you can get a rounded pliers which you can bend the wire around so it's nice and smooth. I don't have that, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my crochet hook, which is nice and rounded, so similar ending to those jewelry making pliers, and I'm just going to simply place it at the end, one end, about a centimetre down, I would have thought. You can see that. There we go, if the lighting's a bit better. So yeah, you place your hook about a centimetre down from one end, and then we're literally just going to bend it round our hook, like so. So bend it round that crochet hook so it's nice and round. Here we go, and when you've got a bit of a curve like that, we then just get our pliers, and using the non-cutting side, I want to use the flat side, I'm just going to very gently get the other end out of the way. This is probably the most fiddliest bit. Very gently just push that in to create a little loop like so. So it's fairly smooth and in, and then with the other end, so imagine that's on our ear, our other end, we want to find where it rests, where a little loop ends, so it's about there, and we just need to bend our wire up like so. And then the idea is that you put that through the ear, then up, and then we loop that on the top like so. Okay, so once you've done that, we then just need to gently file down the edge. So taking our little metal file, we can just file off the end very, very gently, just to smooth any rough edges. Okay, right. Okay, so the next thing to do is to get our yarn, and starting in this direction, we need to just put a little knot. It's easier if we start off with a knot. So we're just going to knot our yarn onto our wire to begin. Like so. So once you've done that, we're working in this direction. And then taking your 1.5mm crochet hook, your little hook, we need to first of all put it through the loop, and then just hook the yarn down and underneath, like so, just to begin. So I'll show you again. So our yarn's there, and we just put our hook through the main loop, and we just grab it and bring it down to this side, and then we yarn over and bring it through a little loop like so. And that's not really going to count as a stitch. This is just beginning to get the yarn onto our loop, so I'm not going to count that as a stitch. I'm going to count the next stitch. So we go underneath the wire and through the middle of the wire, so underneath and through the middle of the wire, grab the yarn and bring it down back round to the other side, and then we're going to yarn over and hook through both loops to do a single crochet. And that's going to be our first proper stitch, because you can see that looks like a first proper stitch now on there, if you can see. And we need to do 70 of these. So we're just going to repeat the same thing again. We're going to go underneath, then put our hook underneath the wire, then through the middle of the loop, grab the yarn, bring it back round to the front like that, then yarn over and do your single crochet by pulling through both loops. And it can be very fiddly working with small hooks, so do persevere. And we need to do 70, so we just repeat that again and again, going underneath, bringing the yarn round to the front and working our single crochet, which is very fiddly enough anyway without doing it in front of a camera under pressure. It actually gets slightly easier the more you do with these stitches. It's just these first initial ones can be a bit fiddly. So there we go. So like I said, repeat that until you've got 70 single crochet on your loop. Okay, so I'm going to do that and then I'll come back. Okay, and the last one, 69, 70. Like so. So it should look a little like that. It should have cast on, as it were, 70 single crochet onto your wire. Okay, then you should still have your beads down here. Okay, so moving on to the next round, what we're going to do is we're going to chain one, but we're not going to count that as a stitch, so just ignore that as a stitch. It just helps us turn our work. So we're going to chain one, then we're going to turn, and then we're going to, you can push your stitches to the top for now, but we're just going to work one single crochet into each stitch around. So chain one and turn, and then work one single crochet in that very first stitch there, making sure to catch both little bits of yarn and also making sure that your wire's out of the way, and just work a single crochet and just work one single crochet into each stitch along. And it doesn't matter at this moment if your stitches are on the inside or the outside, because it'll all come to shape in the end. So just work what's comfortable at the moment, and then we'll move the stitches into place as and when. Okay, so one single crochet in each stitch along, so you're keeping a stitch count of 70. It's also worth mentioning actually that one thing I've noticed is as you're working your single crochets back along in the opposite direction, you can find that your work starts to bunch up this end up here, and if you're not careful you can see it slowly creeping and then you might come off, or the stitches might come off, so just be wary of that, and as you get towards the end just make sure to push the yarn back down into the middle so it stays on. Okay, so just carry on working those single crochets. Okay, so when you've finished that row, we just need to make sure that, oh, untwist our yarn, created a bit of a spin. Okay, so you just want to make sure that the stitches are all facing the inside now. So move them around, make sure they're all facing in the right direction. There we go, and you should find that the spacing at the top is closed up a little bit as well. So there we go, so it should look a little bit like that. Our tail end. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on the bead round, or the bead row. So we'll put our hook back in. What we're going to do is we're going to chain one again, chain one, and turn. And then we're going to work one single crochet in that very first stitch. So again, don't count that chain one as a stitch, just ignore it. So we'll go straight into that first stitch there and do a single crochet like so. And then we're going to skip one, so skip one stitch, and we're going to do a double crochet. I think then. So skip one, and then the next stitch we're going to work a double crochet. Oops, there we go. And then we're going to skip one again, and we're going to do a treble crochet. So to treble crochet, we yarn over twice. Wrap the yarn around your hook twice. Then we're going to skip one, and in the next stitch, put our hook, grab our yarn. So we've got 4 loops. Then yarn over, pull through 2. Oh, it's come undone. Oh, I get to show you again. So yarn over twice, skip one, into the next stitch, grab our yarn, so you've got 4 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, so you've got 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, so you've got 2 loops left, and yarn over, pull through the last 2. And that completes a treble crochet stitch. And what we're going to do now is we're going to get a bead. So this is where we find our beads, which is on our yarn still down here. I'm going to bring those down to our project. We're going to take one of our beads and just thread it up to our project like that. And then we're going to do another treble crochet stitch. We're going to yarn over twice, and then make sure it's all nice and tight and not too loose. So it's all tucked in nicely. And then we're going to skip 5 stitches then. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, skip 5, then in the sixth one, put our hook, we'll do our treble crochet. So bring the yarn through, so you've got 4 loops, then yarn over, pull through 2, so you've got 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, so you've got 2 loops left, and yarn over, pull through the last 2. And then you'll find the little bead is hooked nicely into our project. So you want to make sure that you work those stitches the other side of our bead, but I'll show you again. So then we bring up our next bead, and then we yarn over twice and tuck it all in, so it's all nice and neat. Then skip 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in the sixth one we put our hook. My crochet hook's got all tangled, so skip 5, 2, 4, 2, 4, 5, then in the sixth one we put our hook and grab our yarn, bring that through, so we've got 4 loops, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through the last 2. So there we go, and you can find it's sort of starting to decrease inwards, because that's all we do, is you just crochet onto the ring and then we decrease inwards, and that creates our shape. So then we work our next bead. We just repeat this until we've used up all our beads basically. So always bring the bead in before you wrap the yarn around twice for our treble crochet. So that's 1 and 2, and tuck it up nicely, and then again repeat the same thing, skip 5, 3, 4, 5, and in the sixth one, no, that's the fifth one, sixth one, we work our treble crochet. Just pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through the last 2. So it's always important to thread the bead on, then wrap the yarn round twice, so that the treble crochet stitch ends up the other side of the bead. Okay, so we're going to repeat that until we've used up all our beads. Just wrap it, bring the bead in, then yarn over twice, skip 5 and do your treble crochet stitch, okay, until you've used up all your beads, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've used up all my beads, but the last one's just a little bit too loose, so I'm just going to redo that one again. tucking the bead right in, yarning over twice, tucking it right up, skip 5, 5, then in the 6th one, grab our yarn, keeping it nice and tight, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. I'm a bit happier with that one. So that should leave you with a few stitches at the end, and all we want to do at the end is you want to skip 2, so 1, 2, then in the next one, so skip 2, then in the 3rd one we're going to do a double crochet, so we just yarn over once, a double crochet, and I lost it, it's very fiddly. So skip 2, then in the 3rd do a double crochet, and that should leave you with 2 stitches, and then we just skip 1, and in the very last stitch we do a single crochet. So skip 1, and in the last stitch we do a single crochet. Where's the way yarn? There we go. So let's pull my yarn up a little bit and we can see where we're at. And there we go, and then all we do is we just make sure all our beads face in the right direction. So it should look a little something like that, so it's really coming together. And then all we do is move on to the next row, and the next row is quite simple. Again, we're going to chain 1. It's a bit loose. So chain 1. We don't count this as a stitch again. And then we turn, and then we're going to work 1 single crochet in that very first stitch, like so. Oh, by the way, our stitch count now should be down to 15. Forgot to mention that. Should be down to 15. So we do 1 single crochet in that first stitch. We're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch along until the last 2 stitches. So we go into the next stitch and do a single crochet. And we do a next stitch. Now, for the beads, you're literally putting your hook just above that bead, catching those 2 bits of yarn. Bring the yarn through and work your single crochet. And the next one, just on top of that bead, catching the 2 bits of yarn. Do a single crochet. You may have to hold your earring a bit differently as you go. I'm just literally putting it in between the bead and those 2 bits of yarn and working our single crochet. So we're just going to do this until the last 2 stitches. Okay, so almost at the last 2. So there's 14 and 15. So what we're going to do for the last 2 is we're just going to skip the next stitch, and then in the very last stitch we're going to do a single crochet. So skip that stitch, and in the very last one, stitch number 15, we're going to do a single crochet. Okay. Oh, it gets so fiddly. And that reduces our stitch count down to 14, so we just decrease by 1. And then the very last row, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 again, and again don't count it as a stitch, just ignore it. And we're going to turn, and then making sure our yarn's in the right direction. Oh no, it's come undone. There we go. Still got the chain 1? Yes. So turn our work and make sure our yarn's in the right direction. There we go. Also make sure the yarn's on top. Okay, so chain 1, turn, and then what we're going to do is we're going to skip one. So we're going to skip that first stitch. Then we're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch along to the last 2 stitches again. So we skip that first one, skip that one, and the next one we do a single crochet. We're going to do a single crochet in each stitch along until the last 2 stitches. Okay, so I've just got to the last 2. So there's the second to last one, there's the last one. So we've got 2 stitches left, and all we do is we skip that next stitch there, and then in the very, very last stitch, which is very small, you can get your hook in there. There we go. We're just going to work a slip stitch, which means we don't yarn over, we just go straight through the loop on our hook, do a slip stitch, and there we go. So then we just cut our yarn, pull through like so, and we just make sure it's all shaped nicely and even. Then all that's left to do is hide these tail ends, so I shall show you one of them. I'm going to get a slightly bigger sewing needle this time. Actually, I didn't use one the first time, did I? So I'm getting a sewing needle with a slightly bigger eye. Because using a yarn needle, a little bit difficult to get through the this very fine yarn. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go just up a little bit, just to pull that up, and then I'm going to just thread through a few stitches as neatly as you can. Just to firm into place. When you're happy, just trim the excess right down, like so. Like that. And we'll just do the same for the other one, and then I'll come back and show you the final earring. Okay, so when you finish tying in your tail end, we just then make sure that it's all positioned nicely. And then all that's left to do is need to move that over. There we go. All that's left to do is to wear it. So there we go. There's your finished earrings. So there we go. And I shall just lay an image over the top of this part of the video and just show you what they look like when they're worn. And I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope it was something a little bit different. And like I said, if you've got all the proper jewellery making equipment, then this will probably be a lot easier, and you could do some quite fancy fastenings at the end, but these will serve the purpose really well for a really quick and easy ornate earring just to wear out somewhere nice. So there we go. Well, I shall see you soon for some more crochet fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!